Ready and racing.
Welcome to the Dogcast for Greyhound Racing SA. Visit grsa.com.au.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Dogcast, brought to you by Greyhound Racing SA. I'm your host, Brenton Yates, and alongside Greyhound Racing SA's racing manager, Shaun Mathieson. G'day, Matho.
Hello, Yatesy. How are you today?
Yeah, going well, mate. Going well. Looking forward to today's show. We've got a big one.
Absolutely. Well, it was only a week ago we rolled through a Dogcast edition, and there was plenty happening last week and followed on this week, and we've got plenty to talk about. A long time's a week in greyhound racing. Absolutely.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we'll check out Thursday night's Shane McQueen Final over the 595 metres. So it's always a terrific highlight of the year, that middle distance staying race, and really looking forward to that final. Look back at the Howard Ashton. What a race that was. We had a good chat about that. We found the winner too. Had a chat to Gavin Harris on the show. And later on today, we'll also be having a chat to Diane Ireland, who's got Spanish Miss going around in the big one, the Shane McQueen, on Thursday night.
The Week in Review.
Yeah, the Week in Review brought to you by Fresh Pet Food Co., proud suppliers of fresh pet food for our GAP SA greyhounds in the GAP prison programs, and they are based right here in South Australia. You can visit their website, freshpetfoodco.com.au for more information. Well, Matho, I guess start with the Howard Ashton, mate. The final there last week, a terrific race, won by Springvale Max, 30 and 42 for Gavin Harris, and was able to chase down the early leader, He's All Purpose. What did you make of it all?
Oh, well, I made of it that, good judges that we are. We've actually had the race run before it was run. Springvale Max, to be fair, though, was probably a little bit further back than I thought.
I think Rex kept him out a little bit as well. He he wanted to come down in the 5, got the little backwash early, and then he was trying to get to the rail, and Rex was keeping off a bit, so he had to come back that length or so. So he ended up being, I think he had 4th or 5th offence just going into that first bend, and then he was able to get going and chase down He's All Purpose, who was brave again in the lead. Yeah,
I mean, He's All Purpose, the way that he races for Tim Richards, he's a sitting shot for anything with a bit of strength late in the race, and he was bold out the front. I mean, he ran 30.47 his own time, and generally you're winning these sort of races, but Springvale Max, as we discussed on the show and talking to Gavin, that he loves the rail and really got motoring the last part of the race, and turning for home, it was going to be a two-dog war, but halfway down the straight, Max had the momentum. Up the inside he went and won, as we mentioned, 30.42 his time. He's All Purpose, brave, 30.47 for Tim Richards. And Gavin Harris, he had a big night on Thursday night, absolutely. Yeah. He got Springvale Rex into the top 3. A great effort. My mum's Value ran a huge race at good odds, so plenty of future in these dogs going forward. But Gavin Harris, take nothing away from him. We do look forward, as you mentioned on the show last week, Springvale Max, once he gets through the Gawler Produce Series, which is where he's heading now, stepping up to those middle and staying trips. And I know we're going to talk about the staying race on Thursday night, which is an absolute ripper, but put him into the mix in the coming months, and it's really exciting times.
I'll tell you, the other one is Rex, Springvale Rex. I mean, if you have a look at his last 30 or 40 metres, he closed off to me better than the winner. So on the turn, and then sort of made ground, I felt, the last bit. So I'm looking forward to seeing Springvale Rex to get over that sort of distance range. You touched on the Shane McQueen time on it. Really looking forward to this big final, and we had the heats run there last week. We might go back through those. First heat, how was this for a finish? Half a length between the first 4. Extraordinary. Aston Alpha taking it out. Well,
turning for home, George I was off and gone. Looked all over a winner, and the race changed complexion nearing the winning post, and it was, almost there was 1 length separating 1st to 6th.
Wow.
They went across the line. Aston Alpha, for Matty Payne, got the bob in at $19. Spanish Miss, who we'll speak to Diane a little later in the show, was another fantastic run coming from a long way back. Spring Harbour for Ben Rawlings topping out the 3, and George I ran 4th when he was a couple lengths in front, turning for home. So 34.44, so still a pretty good time. But yeah, it was a who knew where to look at the finishing line?
Yeah, it was extraordinary. Really good finish. It was the slowest heat out of the three heats. The next one taken out by, look, I haven't seen any fixed odds markets, but I'd suggest this winner will be favourite, if not equal favourite. Starlight Tyson was able to jump straight to the lead and too good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, came to South Australia with picket fence form, led easily, made all the time during the early and mid race. Looked like Starlight Tyson was getting a little bit tired at the end, but it did go 34.23. So I think it's not about Starlight Tyson. I think it's about Mr. Ibrox and Daniel's Mercy, who both closed off with great intent, particularly Mr. Ibrox, which I know that you're a big fan of in the final, if he can find the rail somewhere early.
Well, and I think he will. Just the way he closed off was extraordinary. It dropped back from the 700-metre racing. Look, sluggish out, but that's okay. It will get to the rail, save many lengths, and really charge at the end. If there's any sort of scrimmaging up front, then look out, because its final section, to me, was huge. Really, really big run. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it performs, and I'm giving it a rough hope in the final. Third heat, won by Victor Grosso, and we'll get to the final as well, but he's finally come up with a bit of a draw he might like.
Yeah, well, it's not unusual for the Rasmussens to be making feature finals in South Australia over the last, 18 to 24 months, particularly with these Victor dogs. He's such a professional greyhound. I think we've used that term a little bit with him, and he just gets the job done. He drew box 8. He was off the track. He had to work forward, work hard. The tearaway leader, Weblake Well, who went very fast early, he got himself in a really good position. Victor Grosso just off him off the back straight, and you knew he would just run away with it. Howling Hoss did a good job to run second, was up on speed all the way, and Weblake Well held on for third. Kinrock Star, Yatesy, I know I'm a big fan of this dog.
Yeah.
Just, again, his starts are crawling him, and he's finding trouble. And I know he's vetted afterwards. Just not racing as well as we'd like. As all the fans of greyhound racing love seeing this dog race and the performances he can put in. But, I don't know, he's a little bit flat.
I'm sure Troy Murray will unlock the key and get him back up and firing pretty soon. So they were the three heats of the Shane McQueen. Now, Ben Rawlings had Sister Roberta go around in the Oaks final, missed the place, but certainly was far from disgraced.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Ben came up with box 1 with Sister Roberta, and you take box 1 any day of the week, but for Sister Roberta, she likes to get off a little bit. And probably for her in the final, actually wasn't the best box draw for her. She just kept finding dogs on her outside when she wanted to go to the outside. And by the time she got clear running, which was off the back straight, the final time, the leader was off and gone. She held her line, her ground really well, and made a little bit of ground late. She ran 5th in the final, which is far from disgrace, considering if you look at through her in running, it's like 5th, check, 5th, check, all the way. So she had not a scrap of luck. So I really feel for the connections. Terrific to see our dogs taking on the best at group level interstate. No doubt there's a big race in her, but a little bit unlucky, I think.
Matt, I also wanted to touch on, we've got a new CEO at Greyhound Racing SA, Bedell Francis. I've seen Bedell making her way around on track and getting to know people, introducing herself. Comes from a very strong, not only family background, but background herself in racing at firstly the Gallops at the Jockey Club, and then secondly, I think she was at Adelaide Oval before joining Greyhound Racing SA. So is there any chance we can get Bodell on in the next little bit and have a chat and see what she's all about and what she thinks about where Greyhound racing's heading? Absolutely.
I think that would be good. I know Bodell would be very keen to do that. As you mentioned, a few more weeks. She's been in the job a month, but as you mentioned, she's been getting out and about, talking to a lot of people and doing what no doubt anyone who knows her, and we've only known her for a month within this scheme, but clearly that's what she does. And so she's very approachable. She's very strong-willed, so no doubt that she's a very good appointment by the board. Obviously taking over from Matt Corby, who had 10 years in the job. And so I'm sure Bodell will carry that torch on, so to speak, and carry it forward. So I'll be really looking forward to getting her on the show in the coming episodes. Let's hope.
Terrific. Look forward to that. All right, well, it's time for us to get into the big final, the Shane McQueen on Thursday night.
The preview.
The preview brought to you by Greyhound or SA Greyhound Tips Twitter feed. Free tips for SA Metro Greyhound meetings. Search at the Dogs SA and jump on board. As always, of course, gamble responsibly. Matho, the Shane McQueen Final. Really looking forward to this. It's a terrific final. As we touched on, the heat winners, particularly Starlight Tyson and Victor Grosso, will probably headline the betting, but do you want to run through the box draw and then we can sort of shoot through the chances?
Okay, so the 1 is Spring Harbour for Ben Rawlings. 2 is Victor Grosso for Tony Rasmussen. 3 is Aston Alpha, for Maddie Payne. 4 Starlight Tyson for Janet Cottrell. 5 Howling Hoss for Shelley Trengove and kennelmate Mr. Ibrox in the 6. 7 is Spanish Miss for Diane Ireland, who we'll talk a little bit later in the show. And 8, Daniel's Mercy for Lauren Harris, the reserves Weblake Well and George the First. But this race always has a wonderful reputation. Last year we took the race to Murray Bridge, where Rushers was successful in what was one of the runs of the year, I think.
Yeah.
And no doubt the Rasmussens with Victor Grosso will be looking to go back to back. But I've got no doubt Starlight Tyson, they'll both be market leaders, and I think they'll both be up early in the race, and I think they're going to be the main players in betting and also in the running. So what was your initial thoughts once the box draw came out and looked at the race and based on the heats?
Well, first thing I noticed was Spanish Miss has drawn poorly again. So we'll touch on that with Diane. And I noticed Victor Grosso had drawn well. Then I looked for the speed. And to me, it looked Starlight Tyson's straight to the lead. The thing with this greyhound is you can go back through the sections to the first post, okay, to the winning post. To me, it's a bit deceiving. So there's a couple in here that can run sort of similar. To me, the key part to this is to the first turn. So that from the 595 boxes to the home turn, that little bit there is going to be so crucial. And even though we don't have a sectional timing to be able to figure that out, to the eye, to me, Starlight Tyson looks head and shoulders above the rest of the field in that little space, which to me is crucial in setting up the race. Now, there are some others that can run similar with clear passage to the winning post, but that first bit there to me is a key part of the race. And I see Starlight Tyson diving straight there. I don't see much opposition in finding the lead. That said, once it's there, what happens? Now, I take your point last week about looking a little bit tight over the last bit. However, the overall time tells us that maybe that wasn't the case.
Correct.
It had also had a 500-metre run before that 595-metre run, so I feel like there's going to be a little bit more bottom-end strength possibly on the back of that. However, Victor Grosso, to me, will slide to the inside with Spring Harbour, and Mr. Ibrox will flop out and be steaming at some stage. And if Spanish Miss can find the fence early in any sort of realm, it's got to be a chance. So it's strange. To me, Starlight Tyson wins. If it doesn't, it's any one of 4 that could. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Starlight Tyson, just on what we saw last week, another start on the track as well. It was its first look at Angle Park. I think it leads. On its form interstate, I don't think it can be caught. I think it only has to improve slightly for it to be successful. So I think the race is in Starlight Tyson's hands. The greyhound doesn't lead, then you're right. I think it does open it up because I think it then becomes who gets the best run. And there are dogs outside of Victor Grosso who we think will get a nice run and he'll be there challenging. But there are a couple of dogs, you've mentioned likes of Mr. Ibrox, Spanish Miss, that have really good closing speeds. And not to mention Maddie Payne's dog, Aston Alpha, who got home really hard from well off the pace last week. So I'm with you. I'm looking at Starlight Tyson to lead and win. I do like Victor Grosso. He's so professional to run second. I do think Spanish Miss, I actually think she could find the fence reasonably early with a bit of luck. That you're going to need Starlight Tyson begin. Howling Hoss begins okay, but he likes to keep wide. And Mr. Ibrox is on the inside of Spanish Miss, has no speed. So I think the opportunity is there.
Yeah, I agree.
For her to find the rail somewhere. But she might find the rail, second last.
Well, I mean, the problem is she's probably going to find the rail behind Victor Grosso. So she's got to get past Victor Grosso and the leader, probably Starlight Tyson. Now, when you're running 34.20, you're hard to get past. That said, her last section, the way she flew home, particularly that last 30 metres, it was extraordinary. And, if she can have any sort of better beginning. We have seen her begin better in Melbourne. But that run to the first turn, which I'm talking about, seems to be either a little bit longer or a bit more flowy in Melbourne, and she's been able to hold a position a bit better, maybe not from outside draws, I guess, but I think that's her problem. But in a one-out basis, she can match it with any of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't run in lanes, Matho.
No. And again, like a lot of greyhound racing, you'll know your fate pretty quickly after the start. I just think, though, on exposed form, he looks the leader. And if that's the case, I think he looks the winner.
What about best bets? Who's your best bet for Angle Park on Thursday night, Matho?
Well, last week, Jackswell let me down, although I wouldn't be knocking Jackswell's performance. He just found an awful lot of trouble. But I can't go into him this week, even though I think he's a big chance in race 10. I'm looking at race 7, number 6, Shall Not, for Troy Murray. I think he comes back to Angle Park on the back of really good Gawler form. This dog takes one or two strides to get going out of the start and then accelerates with amazing
So you
speed.
think he's the leader clearly in the race?
I do. I think Clairetown Tina will come out running, which will help Shall Not. There's a vacant box on the inside of Shall Not. My only concern a little bit is Lucius Malfoy, which I think is the danger in the race. If it got a nice run, it's got enough strength. But I think Shall Not will be off and gone. I think there'll be too many dogs in between Shall Not and the main challengers for him to hang on. So I'm looking at him to be off and gone and hanging on for the win in race 7.
Terrific. My best. Oh, you got the form there. Is that the sheet? I've misplaced my form sheet. I'm going with who you don't, which is Jackswell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason is, so vacant box underneath.
Yep.
Got Wizardry Things who's going to want to cut down, in my view, to work over. Big Gordy drawn directly outside. I think Jackswell is going to be where he wants to be heading into that first turn. Got knocked around from pillar to post, as you touched on last week, drew the 2, wanted to get up and then got shut back in and wanted to get to the rail. I think Thursday night is the night for Jackswell. So that's race 10, number 7, as the best bet, Matho.
I just I had him as my second best bet, put it that way. But
I like the fact you've dropped off. It gives me a bit more confidence.
I couldn't go into him after last week. He should be. Let's be fair. Jackswell running around in a grade 5. He just needs clear running to win. But he's finding a little bit of trouble of late.
Well, I think starting price profile is another key angle to doing form. And when you're $1.60 and beaten, I think it's not a bad time to follow up again because punters are unforgiving. And they
drop off.
As you have just dropped off.
As you know, I don't punt. I just tip.
And sometimes they drop off a touch too early. Yep. So I think Jackswell can bounce back well. That's a look at Thursday night, the final of the Shane McQueen. We've got Diane Ireland up next, the trainer of Spanish Miss.
The interview.
Yes, we've got Diane Ireland about to join us on the Dogcast, trainer of Spanish Miss, who's made her way through to the Shane McQueen Final on Thursday night. Diane, you've got Brenton, Yates and Shaun Mathieson here. Thanks for your time, and unfortunately, we've given you the visitor's draw again.
Yeah, you have. So I sort of expected it. No, thank you. That's the luck of the draw, isn't it?
What did you make of her run in the semi last week? That last 20 or 30 metres was extraordinary to watch.
Yeah, she does come home hard. It's just if she can lead, she can really run time. But when she's coming from behind, that last little bit always is a big finish. So hopefully, if she's behind, she can do the same again.
Diane, it's Shaun here. Just with Spanish Miss, we've seen her draw wide, and she's come out on 2 occasions. She was here the week before for a 5.95, and then obviously the heats of the Shane McQueen. You're saying there that if she leads, has she led in Melbourne from a wide draw? And do you think third run at Angle Park, she can possibly surprise a few with her early speed?
Well, she has led from a wide draw at Olympic Park. She's led from not Olympic Park. I'm going back too far. But at the Meadows. Yep. And she had box 8 that night, and she led easily and went quite good time first mark. So hopefully she could do the same again. But it's in the lap of the gods, isn't it? But she could surprise if she does decide to really ping. It could happen.
Diane, do you have a view at all on the run to the first turn, say the Meadows, for example, compared to Angle Park? Do you feel that they're sort of geographically set up a little bit different?
I think it is a little different. I think whether it's an optical illusion or not, I'm not sure. But it seems to me that the Angle Park 595 is a fair bit closer to that first turn
Yeah.
than what the Meadows is. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yes, you really got to be quick there out of the 8 if you want to lead. That's for sure.
Okay. So Diane, probably just crystal balling. Where do you think she might end up in the run, and what are you hoping to see for her over the concluding stages? What realistically are you looking at? Probably her midfield on the rail and then charging home over the last half of the race, and maybe trying to run the leaders down, or would that probably be where you'd be thinking she'd land from 8, from 7?
Yeah,
sorry, from 7.
Yeah, I'd be thinking that's probably right. I mean, I've got my fingers crossed that maybe she could really ping, but realistically, I'd say she'd be sort of midfield, and hopefully she can get the run on the rails to be able to show her strength at the finish.
Is there anything different you've done with her this week to try and get that spark early?
No, not really. She's not really done much between the races anyway. She doesn't work that well, on her own. So she likes to race, but so she'll just just pot around until Thursday, and hopefully that'll make her ping. But never mind. What will be, will be.
And Diane, it's been 3 weeks in a row that we will see you here in SA, and it's great that you've made the trip, and it's great that you've been able to make one of our, prestigious feature finals. Do you leave on the day of the race and travel across? Is that what you would do, and that's what you've done the last couple of weeks?
Yes, it is. I'll leave about 8 o'clock in the morning, and just we toddle across, take it easy, because it's a good drive across to Angle Park. There's no hassle. I don't mind it at all.
And
the drive back.
The drive back's not great late at night. She a good traveller? Does she travel well?
Yes.
It looks like through her form, generally you're running around, like Cranbourne, the Meadows and the likes of that. But of recent, she's not a bad traveller?
No, she's a really good traveller. She just lies down in the back and you just don't hear from her until you get her out. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now you're also, so we do wish you the very best of luck with Spanish Miss in the Shane McQueen. You're also travelling across with Line Seeker. I think you're the managing syndicate owner of Line Seeker, and we've seen Line Seeker here. We've seen it quite a lot with under the care of Beck Remain, and so it's great to get Line Seeker back here, and we saw him a couple of weeks as well. He's run really well. So what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping now that this is his first run back over the distance since in this last campaign, because he's had a couple of bad injuries, the dog. So dropped a back muscle and did a hock, and so he's done well to come back. But he's getting on a bit, so he probably hasn't got the strength that he had before. But I'm hoping that he might be somewhere up the front. I would think that Fantastic Bradley would lead. And I'm hoping that he can drop in behind and maybe be strong at the finish. And hopefully a place would do fine for me. I'm happy. Okay,
well, we know he's got really good form. We go back, I know it's over a year ago. He did run second in the Group 3 Miata at Cannington over the journey, and obviously he's had a few injury issues along the way. I mean, we have sort of, we haven't helped you much. We've drawn you wide in the feature final, and you've copped probably one of the best staying races we could put on other than a feature final for you, with all the big stayers in South Australia are all there, and you've sort of copped one of the hottest races we could find. Well, that's right. Well, but I am a Victorian. That is true. You've won enough money in South Australia. No, we don't mean that seriously.
Well, Diane, we certainly... sorry, did you want to say something there? My apologies.
No, I was just saying I'm very happy to be in the final. I didn't know that we'd actually make it, but I'm very pleased, and I'd just like to say that the South Australians have been very welcoming, so I thank you all.
Oh, that's very kind. We wish you the best of luck, and look, best of luck with Spanish Miss in the big final on Thursday night, Diane. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Diane
Diane.
Ireland there, the trainer of Spanish Miss and syndicate owner, Matho.
Yeah, of
Line Seeker.
Seeker, absolutely. And just what we touch on, just on Thursday night, again, other than the feature final, the Shane McQueen, that 3-4 race, Yates.
Yeah, so this is Don't Tell Bluey's race. Fantastic victor.
Well, that's the open 500-metre race,
Yep.
which has, as you mentioned, Don't Tell Bluey, fantastic victor, great race, race 4 on the cards, Zinfandel, Nicky, plus at McLaren.
Yep.
But also the staying race.
Oh, the distance, my apologies. Yeah.
Also has
Lashes Manelli?
Lashes Manelli, Fantastic Radley, Victor Hayden, Webleck
Wow.
Star,
Yeah.
and Zipping Nebraska, along with Line Seeker. That's race 3. So I encourage anyone, don't think, we'll just tune in for the Shane McQueen. You want to
Yep.
tune in early. These are wonderful races on Thursday night.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Well, good job, Matho. Great stuff. We'll catch up with you next time, mate. And thanks for tuning into the Dogcast, and we hope to see you at the track soon.